Hello, everyone. Welcome to session 5 of the day on the Smart Stage. We are halfway through the day. Joining us now is Danny, Head of Marketing at Gleanin, and his session is on how to attract more attendees for your events. Over to Danny.
Hey everyone, hope you're having a great time at ETL so far. My name's Danny, I'm the Head of Marketing at Gleanin, and today I wanted to talk to you about trust, and specifically what trust means for event marketers and how you can utilize trust to get more attendees for your events. But before we get started, I wanted to start in one particular place, and that's LinkedIn. So, LinkedIn, every time we log into LinkedIn and we go to our messages, we find this type of message waiting for us in our inbox. And it's an unsolicited sales email that outlines a product that maybe we've never heard of before, but most importantly, it's from someone that we've never engaged with before, and that's the key part that I wanted to discuss today. Now, all of us, when we're promoting events, are most likely to be using some form of paid advertising, whether that's on Facebook, maybe Twitter, Instagram, Google AdWords, a platform where we can push messages to our target audience to promote our event. Now, the problem with this, on the problem on the horizon, is privacy. So we've seen lots of privacy updates in the news over the last weeks, months, years, and more of these privacy changes are coming. Now, Apple, for example, have been very vocal about what they're doing in terms of privacy and what this means for marketers. So most recently we've seen iOS 14, we've seen changes to the iPhone, and Apple have introduced a mechanism for users to opt out of advertising to prevent advertisements being shown on their mobile device. So that's just one example, but there's lots more examples that are either here or on the horizon for many of these devices. So as a marketer, it's becoming more and more challenging, more and more difficult to track people and their behavior based on those adverts. So that greater user privacy is becoming a challenge for marketers, and those marketers and those marketing teams that rely so heavily on paid advertising as part of their event strategy are going to become under more and more pressure as time goes on. Now, before we get into how to utilize trust and how to think about trust, which is what I wanted to talk about today, we have to go back to 10 years ago and think about the buyer journey. So if you're a marketer and you're in the market for a new marketing tool, let's say an email tool that you want to send emails to your prospect attendees that you would like to invite to your event. Well, a decade ago, the buyer journey would have looked something like this. So you would have run a search on Google, you may type in some keywords or phrases such as best email tool, and you're trying to discover the best tool for that problem, and you'd go through that discovery phase. You would have a look at what's available. You may have a look at 5, 6, 10 different tools, 10 different websites, and you would go through some form of evaluation process. You might be looking at price or number of features or specific features that you need for your campaigns, but you would evaluate them, and then eventually you would make a decision, and you may trial that product, you may buy that product, but you would make a decision. Now, that was how things were 10 years ago, and that went on for a long time. But the shift that we're seeing with the buyer journey is that it now looks like this. So you open your phone, you message someone that you trust. That could be an individual, it could be a colleague, it could be a community that you're part of, and you would simply ask them, what is the best email marketing tool right now? What email tool are you using at your company? What would you recommend? And with that, there's always an element of FOMO. So if someone that you trust, someone that you know is using a particular email marketing tool, you want to know why, and if they are using it and they're seeing success from that email tool, you want some of that success as well. And there's a good chance that you'll go and check out that tool and eventually buy it. So that is how the buyer journey has shifted. It's gone from that traditional research evaluation focus to focusing on trust. Who are you going to trust to help you find the best email marketing tool when you need one? So that's the shift that we've seen, and the same principles apply in event marketing. So word of mouth still rules the marketing world. If you receive an unsolicited email or sales email in your LinkedIn inbox promoting an event, and it's someone that you've never spoken to before, it's an event that you've never attended before, maybe you've never even heard of the event before, the reality is that either you're not going to open that message or you're going to delete it. Is very, very unlikely, unless there's a compelling reason to do so, that you're going to click through or engage or reply or buy a ticket and attend the event. It's just not going to happen. That's the reality, because you simply don't trust the person or the event or the brand that has put this message in front of you. So what happens is we simply ignore these messages, and the amount of times this year where I've received these types of messages, and everyone's busy, we don't have time to read every single message we receive, and so it's just even more important that there's this element of trust when we're trying to get the attention of the reader. These types of messages here are simply going to be ignored. But the difference here in terms of messaging is this. Now, if we were to receive this type of message on, say, WhatsApp, or even a text message from a friend that says something like this: "Hey Danny, it's great to catch up last week. I'm thinking of attending this event next month. You should definitely check it out. Here's the link." The likelihood is I'm going to check out the event because this has come from someone that I trust, that I regularly have conversations with. I'm eager to learn from this person because they're doing great things in my space. Absolutely, I'm going to check out that event. Now that's a very, very different dynamic to receiving an unsolicited sales email from someone promoting an event. So that's the key difference, and it's all down to this reason and this reason alone. We now live in a trust economy, and in a trust economy we only listen to the people we trust. Now that has significant meaning for marketers and significant consequences for marketers. That shift to a trust economy has completely changed the landscape of marketing, and some marketers still find themselves in the old world. And in the old world, a lot of things were going on. One thing that we talked about right at the start, paid advertising. We're so reliant in the old world on expensive paid advertising. Advertising that is becoming more and more expensive every year to get the results that we want. And with the increasing legislation and the privacy changes, it's becoming more and more challenging to get the results that we want. So that's leaving us with poor ROI, unmeasurable ROI in some cases due to the restrictions in privacy. We're finding ourselves crippled by legislation around GDPR, and our budgets, our marketing budgets, are becoming under more and more scrutiny just in terms of what's happened over the last 1 to 2 years. So as a result, we're seeing poor engagement on social, and ultimately that fear of failure, that fear that we're going to have empty seats at our events, whether that's a digital event, potentially a hybrid event, potentially getting back to face-to-face events. There's always that fear in the back of our minds as event marketers that we will have empty seats. And that's challenging, that's really challenging for a marketer. But there's a difference here, and the difference is that some marketers are winning at this game. They're doing something very, very differently. They're practicing what we call community marketing. And community marketing is all about empowering your community and the people within your community. And we're going to get into that in a bit more depth. But this is all about building meaningful engagement, measurable ROI, scaling reach, building and utilizing a trusted network, and telling stories that spread. So community marketing is something that some marketers are practicing, and those event marketers that are practicing community marketing are getting the results that they wanted. And this isn't something new. In fact, in the last 1, 2, 3, 4 years, we've seen the rise of community marketing. We've seen lots and lots of SaaS platforms join this sector. In social listening, you may have heard of some of these. They're becoming more and more popular. Tools such as SparkToro, understanding your community, people in the community, what interests them, what trends exist in that community. We've seen a similar thing with BuzzSumo in terms of content, identifying content that resonates within a community. And Brandwatch, so listening to positive or negative sentiment about an event or community or subject or a topic. And then in direct referral, again, this list has got bigger and bigger over time, but platforms like Ambassador, Mention Me, Referral Factory, we could name hundreds, but these are all utilizing community marketing to drive traffic and better referral, meaningful referral for brands. And then with Gleanin, we've seen a new platform rise, this in the space for event marketers, helping event marketers work with stakeholders within their community, whether that's speakers, exhibitors, attendees, whoever that stakeholder is in that community. This is a tool that's going to help you get more attendees at your event by utilizing community marketing. So there's so many tools out there now in this space. This isn't something new. SaaS brands have been building tools and resources to help event marketers for almost a decade now, but not all marketers are utilizing this, and we're still so reliant on paid advertising. So the tools and resources are there for event marketers to use. It's just about getting the most out of those platforms. And today I wanted to share some simple tips on how you can utilize community marketing right now to get more attendees for your events, whether that's digital, whether that's hybrid, or eventually, hopefully, face-to-face. So let's start with the first one. So the first one, empower your community. That's the number one for me. So we know we live in a trust economy. We only buy from people we trust. And that's the same in most industries right now. People buy from people they trust. And so what that means for marketers is that your best marketers are people in your community. So what's really important, therefore, is to make it super easy for those people to spread your message. So if you're promoting, if you're advertising an event and you're trying to attract new attendees to that event, then paid advertising comes with challenges, and those challenges are only going to increase. But by utilizing community marketing, by using tools such as Gleanin, such as SparkToro, really understanding your community and then empowering your community with the assets that they need to spread your message should be priority one for any event marketer right now. And those tools and resources have made it super easy for you to do that today. Now, the second advice that I wanted to give today, embrace you marketing. So embrace you marketing. Make it all about the attendee, not the event. The messaging that you're putting out there, whether that's in an advertisement, whether that's in an email, it should all be about the attendee and not the event. So make that value proposition super easy to understand and give them a compelling reason to attend. And usually the best way to do that is to tell them what happens if they don't attend. We talked about trust right at the beginning and this idea of FOMO. And if someone that you trust, maybe a marketing colleague, sends you a recommendation, maybe a tool to use or an event to go to, something that they are invested in themselves and seeing some success from that, and they tell you about that, that instantly builds FOMO. You want to go and check that out. You want to see if you can recreate the same success or even higher. And the same principles apply here for the attendees. Whoever that stakeholder is that you're trying to reach, the same principles apply. And a great way to do that in your messaging, when you're building that messaging in your marketing campaigns, is to make that really clear. What happens if they don't attend? So embrace you marketing. And the last one that I wanted to leave you with today is use attendee language. There's no better way to build instant trust with those that you're seeking to serve than to use attendee language. So do your research. Where do prospect attendees hang out? Where do current attendees hang out? What platforms are they on? Are they on Reddit? Are they on LinkedIn? Are they on G2, Twitter? What platforms are they on first? And spend some time there listening to the language that they use to discuss some of the problems that they're looking to solve at this event. And how do those attendees describe the daily problems that they face? Once you've done that listening, use that exact language in your messaging. So don't try and recreate it. Don't try and redefine it. Use the exact language in your own messaging, in your emails, in your social posts, in your website, any sort of interaction with that attendee, that prospect attendee. Use the exact language if you want to build trust. So they're the 3 tips that I wanted to share. Empower your community, embrace you marketing, use attendee language. All of those things will help you build instant trust with attendees, and it will help you get more attendees to your events. So I wanted to leave you with this quote, one of my favorite quotes from Seth Godin. Still stands the test of time today, that the secret to marketing and marketing success really is no secret at all. Word of mouth is all that matters, and trust is your route in, therefore, as a marketer. Thank you very much. I'm Danny, Head of Marketing at Gleanin. Hope you enjoy the rest of your week at Event Tech Live. Thank you very much.